Good morning and welcome to Sports Shorts Daily on a Friday morning. I'm Tommy Christ-Sand, live and in color from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. Glad to be here. Glad to have you there. Today, pinch hitting for Ryan Rance would be Joel Davis of Wooden Haven Furniture on Government Street. He's got the Red Zone fundraising hat on, a little red zone there. We're going to have some fun on this Friday morning. Ronnie's away from the microphone. Might try to pop in and join us, but I wouldn't count on that. We'll see how that goes. He's still reeling from the Baton Rouge Rougarou golf tournament the other day, which was a huge success, and he and everybody appreciates all that did something for that. Joel Davis, good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. It's exciting to be here. I always know when Ronnie texts me late at night, says need you for 9 a.m., what that's all about. It means not that he wants to do the show with me. It just means that he won't be there.
Right. And, of course, as always, we're presented by the LeBares Casino and Hotel in Baton Rouge, where you got the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. You got the Edge Lounge. Go bet the Kentucky Derby. Hey, that'll run tomorrow. It's all at LeBares. And, Joel, tell us what's going on at Wooden Haven Furniture in Baton Rouge on Government Street.
Look, man, it's, a lot of stuff is in the news about the tariffs and this, that, and the other. Well, guess what? Indonesia doesn't have that because Indonesia, where we get our product from, where I have my factory, where I've been doing business out of for over 20-something years out of Indonesia, has great trade relations with America. So we've always had great trade relations, don't have a huge deficit in regards to our trading. So, we have a great relationship. A lot of business, a lot of U.S. business there, a lot of Indonesian business here. So, we're partners. And prices haven't changed. If, products are not going up. What we have to worry about is shipping. Everybody talks about tariffs. Nobody talks about shipping and how the shipping agencies are bending this over a barrel and have been since COVID. So, we're all talking about these tariffs, but if you're in my world, you talk about shipping. You don't talk about tariffs. Unless, of course, you're getting it from China. Then you're talking about tariffs. But it's all good. All good on the Wooden Haven Furniture Company front.
Glad to hear that. Okay, let's talk the New Orleans Saints. They had 9 draft picks. They didn't trade up or down. Mickey Loomis said there was some conversations about some of that. Didn't pull the trigger on anything. 9 players picked at 9 different positions. Your thoughts, Joel, on the Saints and how the whole draft thing went for them?
Well, if anything, they're unpredictable, right? They're an unpredictable organization. They're typically predictable. This year, they were unpredictable. I don't know, man. It's hard to make it out. You said it 9 different positions, right?
Yep.
So what does that tell you? That tells you that they're filling every room with new people. Every room they want new people in. They didn't get the big wide receiver we've been talking about the big wide receiver forever. But what we're forgetting is there's Bud Means is still on this roster. Bud is not a small dude. Okay, Bub is 6'1.5", almost 6'2", and he's got a little weight to him. So he can move. We didn't get to see a lot of him last year. He was last year's, I think, what was it, the 4th or 5th round draft pick. And he's a dude, man. He can move and he can run people over. So he's got that Deebo Samuel size. Now, again, we didn't get a lot to see a lot of him last year, but I think that they really believe in that guy because he was on the field when he was healthy, right? And he was making some plays. And then all of a sudden we lost him. So, they didn't get that guy. And I'd rather let's just run with him. Let's see what he can get. If you want to go spend some money on a Keenan Allen, or an Amari Cooper, I think that's not necessarily going to help your football team. It may help the room because, a guy that's been in the league for 10, 12 years is going to be able to help the younger receivers. Dude, Chris Olave's been around for almost 5 years. Come on. If he can't teach the young guys, who can? Right? So we're talking like we need to bring in these veterans. Well, you've got Shaheed's been in the league. This will be his 3rd year. But Chris Olave and then Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks has been around for 10 years. So the argument that you need to bring in a guy that's been around the block, and it is not, to me, is not necessarily true, because you have a couple of those guys in the room already. What you don't have is the big guy, but then Bub Means is not a small guy. So keep that in mind.
Well, also the thing when you think Saints is quarterback question mark. Okay. What's up with Derek Carr? Might they trade him after June 1? Is he hurt? What's the extent of it? A lot of stuff swirling around with that. And then they take, the Shuck kid, who's like 26 years old, going to be 26 in September, played 7 years of college football. They're high on him. They really like him. And then I saw some interview. I heard an interview with the kid. I mean, the video is like, I don't know. It doesn't look great, but I mean, could that guy be the quarterback?
Well, I mean, he's got all the tools. So, I mean, he's got the ability to communicate. I don't know if you've been watching John Gruden and his quarterback camp. It's been fantastic leading up to the draft. He met with like 7 young quarterbacks, Jackson Dart being one of them. Let's start with Jackson Dart. And then when he was talking to Jackson Dart, he would say, "Hey, give me your call at the line of scrimmage," and it was just a clap, right? And he goes, no, seriously, give me your call at the line of scrimmage. That's all it was. You got to be able to do more. Jackson Dart cannot start right away. I like Jackson Dart. You know how I feel about Jackson Dart. I think he's a star.
I agree with you about Dart.
But he's not starting. He's not starting because he doesn't even know how to make line adjustments, without doing this, so that's not how it's done in the NFL. So he's going to have to be able to make checks. He's going to have to communicate to his offensive line. He's going to have to be able to move people around. And he's not necessarily done that in college. Shuck has. Shuck, under the Brahms at Louisville, the Brahm brothers, he did all that. He communicated to his offensive line, to his receivers, checking out of plays, checking into good plays, checking to a third and fourth play, being able to read coverages, all those things that Jackson Dart didn't have to do at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's offense is not a pro-ready offense, okay? He's got a lot to learn. Now, he may be able to pick a lot of that up quickly, right? Depending on his mental capacity. But I think Jackson Dart is 2 years away. And how old will he be in 2 years? He'll be 24. Just because he's sitting on the bench doesn't mean anything. Guess who didn't play until they were almost 26 years old? Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for 3.5, 4 years in Green Bay. He wasn't taking snaps. He wasn't getting snaps in practice. But all of a sudden, this is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I guess he was 26 years old when he finally started. Shuck, I mean, he's been playing at least. He hadn't been sitting on the bench. He's been actually playing this past year. So, look, I'm not trying to compare him to Aaron Rodgers. But what I am trying to say is, Aaron Rodgers had a pretty damn good career, and we didn't see it until he was almost 26 years old when he started. Okay, so let's look at that. I haven't heard anybody bring that up. And again, I'm not trying to compare him to Aaron Rodgers, but this guy's now he has to start right away. So Derek Carr, I mean, you can't put this guy on the bench for 2 years and then his first starts at 28 years old. No, I don't even think you put this guy on the bench for a year. I said you go in, you see what you have. He's got all the tools. He's got the communication ability. He's got the physical tools. Why can't he start right away? So Derek Carr is not coming back to the New Orleans Saints. I don't think that you can mend that relationship. I think that that's too far gone. The fans are going to let him. You can't have that guy walk out as a start. Now, look, he goes out and throws for 500 yards. If he does and goes out and throws for 500 yards and he has 2 games like he had last year coming out of the gates, they're going to forget all about what they've seen with Derek Carr. All the fans are going to love him again. But you can't put that guy out there week 1 because the fans are going to boo him like you've never heard boos in your entire life. It's going to be insane. He's not coming.
I agree with you completely. I don't think he's wearing a Saints uniform when we get to August at all. Now, we certainly could be wrong. That happens every now and then. No, but I mean, it's just – I don't know, man. It's just the Saints. It's like it just feels weird, It's you don't have like a lot of confidence. You have hope, and you hope this works and that works, and a couple of guys elevate themselves, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be a playoff team.
No, and I don't think that they could sit there and tell you that, that they're a potential playoff team, but they have to sell tickets. They're in the entertainment business. They can't just say, hey, look, we're really going to suck this year, guys, but we want you to renew your season tickets. But you just got to come and, support us either way. We're really trying to do the right thing. So they're in the entertainment business. They have to sell tickets. They have to sell a product. So they're not going to say they're terrible. But at the end of the day, dude, they're not going to be very good with a rookie quarterback unless he comes in and really surprises people. But I mean, they've got still got a lot of holes on that defensive. In the entire look, there's a ton of holes, right? You don't have an elite lot. You don't have an elite tight end. I'm really worried about the tight end position. I'm worried about the wide receiver room simply because they can't stay healthy. Olave and Shaheed are not going to play the whole season. Brandon Cooks is 12 years in. I think they signed Brandon Cooks because they know Chris Olave can't make it through the season, and neither Shaheed. So you got to have the guy that can stretch the field, right? That's why he wasn't brought in to be, a compliment to them. He was brought in to replace them when they can't get on the field. That's why, because it's so important to be able to stretch the field. You got to have the guy to do that. And you're not going to find that guy in week 5 on the street. So I think it was a great signing by them to get Brandon Cooks. They know that the guys that they have that stretch the field can't stay on the field. So that's why he's there.
The biggest story out of the NFL draft is the whole Shedeur Sanders thing. Okay, and we all know the story. There's a lot of fake stuff out there. There's a lot of AI-generated stuff out there. The bottom line is you and I of the team Sports Shorts don't think the kid can play in the NFL. And Ronnie and Hunter McCann, think he's the superstar. I think that 32 teams agree with you and I that he can't play in the NFL. And, I mean, hopefully he's been humbled and learned some lessons. Hopefully his dad's been humbled and learned. And I say dad. I don't say his coach because there's a lot of layers there. But the kid he got humbled. And here's my thing. I put this out on social media. I've said this since he said he was going to go in the draft. If you're really good, you don't have to tell anybody. Okay. Yeah. Paul Skeens does not have to tell anybody he's a good pitcher. Okay. Aaron Judge doesn't have to tell anybody he's a good outfielder and he knocks the ball out of the park. Everybody knows it. Okay. Shedeur Sanders is not good enough to play in the NFL, but he's trying to convince people that he is. And the one thing, Joel, I don't know if you saw this, and this is not fake stuff. He was in a meeting with a team. The team's name was not revealed. And they were watching him on film. And the person from the team said, okay, what did you do wrong on that play? It was a play when he rolled out or stepped up in the power. He goes, what do you mean? They go, what do you think you did wrong on that play? And he goes, I didn't do anything wrong. And the manager said, we think you did. And he goes, well, then maybe I'm not the guy for your team. That's what he tells the NFL. Like, maybe I'm not the guy. Yeah, I mean, you can't exist like that because nobody wants that in the locker room.
Well, look, there's so many layers to this. If somebody tells you you're great all the time, and you're going to go top 5 and you're a young man and you're going to have a sense of entitlement. You're going to look. I was watching a show. I was on the road yesterday. I can't remember. And I was listening to a podcast and I wish I could give credit to whoever this person is, but I can't remember what it was. And the Shedeur Sanders came up and, the one thing he said is when you're a backup quarterback, if you're a backup quarterback, we want you to disappear into the background. We don't want to hear from you. And that's what happened to Kaepernick, and that's what happened with Tim Tebow, is they were too big of a personality to be or Cam Newton, too big of a personality to be a backup. When you're a backup, you need to be in the back, and you need to be quiet, and you don't need to be saying anything. Well, they didn't, and that's part of Shedeur Sanders' problem, is they didn't view him as a starter. They didn't view him as a guy that could come in and be that and start right away. And when you go in the first round, you are expected to come in and go and be a starter right away. If you're good, you can be as loud as you want to be. You can be the whatever you want to be. We're fine with that. You can bring as much attention to yourself as you want to bring because you're badass. You're so good, right? You're leading us to victories. Plus, you're putting the attention on our team, which ultimately sells tickets, right?
Well,
when you're a backup, We don't want any of that. We want you to get in the back and shut your mouth and don't say a word, and you got to make the quarterback room better. You got to make the guy that's in front of you better. They didn't feel that he could just come in and be quiet. They didn't think that he could come in and just be quiet, which is what we've kind of talked about from the beginning. It's a circus. It's a sideshow. And why in the hell would any organization, coach, want a sideshow from your backup quarterback? Nobody wants to put up with that. So all this bull crap about, oh, he was done wrong and this, that. No, dude. He was lied to. He was lied to, whether it was Deion lying to him, fluffing him up, believing that he was a top 5 pick, or people in the organizations telling, oh, Deion, your kid's great. Your kid's great. He's amazing. He's going to do great things. And they're fluffing Deion up because Deion is such a big personality and such, has so many contacts, and they're friends with Deion and didn't want to tell Deion the truth. And then Deion, in turn, fluffs his kid up. So, dude, there's so many layers to this, right? But at the end of the day, you do not want your backup quarterback to have a large voice. Name one. Name one in the NFL where you have a backup quarterback that's more famous than the guy in front of you.
I agree with you 100%. You hit the nail on the head. You got to stay in your lane. You got to know what you got to do. Now, here's the thing. Here's how I'm going to sum up and stop in this conversation. I would send this message to Shedeur Sanders, okay, from little old TK in Baton Rouge. Shedeur, shut your mouth, go to work. Get in the film room. And what you should do, and I'm going to flip something that everybody's saying. He wants to prove all the teams wrong that didn't pick him, okay? Well, how about you just prove that the Cleveland Browns made a good choice by taking you? Don't worry about the ones that didn't take. Once you go prove to the Browns that in the 5th round they ended up making, over time we say you made a good pick, okay? Go to work, get yourself better, and maybe 2-3 years from now you're the starting guy. And like you said, you bring a Super Bowl to Cleveland. That's the mission. That's your job to go do if you're capable of doing it. And I don't know if he can or he can't. I don't think so, but I'm not going to bet a lot of money on that. But just go to work, shut up, and go get yourself better. Get in the film room, learn from the veterans that are around you, learn from whatever you got to do, and prove the Browns correct. That's the only thing you should be thinking about, is doing that, and then figure out a way how you can help that team win football games. And if that's as a backup for a couple of years, when the quarterback comes off the field and you go, look, I saw this, you saw that, help the guy. I mean, that's what he's got to do if he really wants to play in the NFL.
Well, he's going to have to find a way to beat out Dillon Gabriel, because Dillon Gabriel can sling a football, brother. He might be
he's a lot better than Shedeur.
Well, he's the same size as Rattler, right? He's not very big, but let me tell you something, dude. You think Rattler's got a big arm? Dillon Gabriel's got a cannon, an absolute cannon. He's got a lot of starts under his belt. He's actually got more starts and more touchdowns, more yards, all that stuff than Shedeur Sanders. He did it in a power conference, right, for a longer period of time. Shedeur only did it for 2 years. 2 years at Colorado. Your boy Dillon Gabriel's been doing it for 6 years, 5 years, 5.5 years in a major conference. All the numbers are better. I'm telling you, dude, Dillon Gabriel ain't just going to hand it over to Shedeur Sanders. And you're not going to hear a word from that dude. So they're going to like him. And when he gets in there, he's going to dominate. I think Dillon Gabriel is a steal. Nobody's talking about it. I'm not a big fan of small quarterbacks. That was one of the things I didn't like about, Shedeur Sanders. He's only 6'1". It's not tiny. He's not tiny. Don't get me wrong. But if you're going to be a tiny dude or a little quarterback, I want the freaking giant arm. I want you to be able to be so athletic that you can pick up a first down for me on 3rd down when things break down, right? Shedeur's not that guy, right? But I'll tell you who is. You got a 6'4", 215-pound, 26-year-old that's got a rifle, that's got a lot of starts under his belt. Well, not a lot of starts, a lot of experience under his belt, who can communicate at the line. Tyler Shuck is the epitome of what I want my starting quarterback to physically be built like. That's the only thing I like him more than Rattler. I love Rattler. I think Rattler's not done. I don't think we should just say, Rattler, you're history. That kid's going to come out and got something to prove. I'm telling you, he's a fighter. But Tyler Shuck has all the physical attributes you want in a quarterback. 6'4", 220 pounds, can freaking move. Nobody even knows that. The guy can move. He ran a 4.6 40 at the combine. One of the best quarterbacks at the combine, if not the best quarterback at the combine. Accurate passer, can communicate. Can I say a dirty word?
Sure.
Okay. He's John Gruden's wet dream. I'm telling you.
Let me tell you.
Yes.
I think either he or Rattler starts for the Saints in their first regular season.
100%. 100%.
I really believe that. Hey, Joel, I want to tell everybody here at Tremonti's, they got a lunch special today. Lunch, 3 pounds of crawfish, corn, and potatoes, $14.99. They will also have crawfish at 3 o'clock today at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. So we want you to come check that out. Now, don't forget Sports Shorts Radio tomorrow morning. Joel, you're going to join us about 10:30. And we're going to be on time because I'm orchestrating the show. It's going to be Hunter McCann and I at Fat Daddy's in Plaquemine. We're going to have you on at 10:30. Lafayette, yep. Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, ESPN Radio. So we look forward to that tomorrow morning. We want everybody to join us. And Joel, you keep things going with what's happening with Red Zone Fundraising.
Matter of fact, I'm heading over to Zachary today. Got to meet with Coach Brewerton at 12:30. Gonna drop him off a little lunch. Zachary's been very good to Red Zone Fundraising. Work with over probably 10 groups on that campus. We help them raise a lot of money. By the way, champions, the Zachary boys and girls basketball teams are champions for a reason. Let me explain this to you. So in our world, we have some software that we use to help generate funds for our athletic programs. So Coach McClure and Coach McClendon, the two head coaches of those two organizations, are fantastic fundraising coaches. It's no surprise that they're both state champions. Okay. Now, let me explain this to you. The average amount of money that a player can bring in, that typically brings in with our software, is about $350 per athlete. That's across the board, across the country. You want to know what the girls basketball team average is at Zachary High School? $1,000 a player. With our software. You want to know what the boys average is? $1,000 a player. Let me tell you something. That comes from the top down. When the coach is on board and believes in it and does a job, and guess what happens? That matriculates down to the players, and then you get more out of your players. And then if you can badass fundraise, those are the teams that typically win state championships. It is 100% true that our software, our fundraisers, are a direct reflection on the season that you have coming up. It's a direct reflection. If you do well with our fundraisers, you're probably going to have a good season coming up. If you don't, you might want to check some things. Either your players are not on board, or the coaches are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So Red Zone Fundraising, of course, I'm the number one rep in the state of Louisiana and the surrounding territories. I mean, I'm the guy. So I appreciate Coach Brewerton for allowing me to be on his campus. I'm super excited about going to Central High School today. I'm going to go meet with Zach Morris today, the offensive coordinator of the champions, the 5A champions. I'm going to sit down with Zach. I just got that territory. I didn't have Central before, and so I was just handed that. I'm super excited about the opportunity of working with the Central Wildcats as well. So got a big day at Red Zone, and then guess what happens, TK? As soon as I'm done with that, I got to head over to the furniture store and load some furniture and go do some deliveries. I do it all, baby. That's what I do.
You're a busy guy, and we'll have you tomorrow morning on the radio. You'll be on with us about 10:30. We're on 10 a.m. to 12 noon. ESPN Radio, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and Lake Charles. Do check us out. Joe, appreciate you pinch hitting today for Ron. Go have a great day. Tell Coach Brewerton I said hello, and we look forward to everybody. Also, our presenting sponsor, LeBear's Casino. Kentucky Derby runs tomorrow afternoon. Go out to the ESPN bets. But what is that? Bring it down a little bit. What we got?
That's Coach Brew. He's looking for me.
There you go.
Coach
Perfect.
Brew. He's fine. He's looking for me. He's like, you're late. You're late.
Hey, go bet the Kentucky Derby out at the ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Bet on LSU, Major League Baseball, NBA playoffs, the whole bit. Joel, we appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning on the radio.
Peace.